Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, challenge accepted. For retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, he says he's willing to debate with the president over the West Philippine Sea issue. A lawyers group has offered to host the face-off. And later, President Duterte says the country's arbitral victory against China is just a piece of paper that he can throw away in a trash bin. Philippine Bar Association President Rico Domingo and former Philippine representative to the United Nations, Baja Jr., join us live. With criticisms growing over how President Rodrigo Duterte is handling the issue in the West Philippine Sea, former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio takes on the president's challenge to a debate. On Wednesday, Mr. Duterte dared Carpio to face off on how the maritime issue with China should have been handled. The Philippine Bar Association has offered to facilitate the debate. Justice Carpio likewise accepted this offer. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Philippine Bar Association President, or PBA President, Rico Domingo. Attorney Domingo, welcome to the source, and thank you for your time, attorney.
Thank you too, Pinky, for having me on your program.
The president challenged retired Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio to a debate. Justice Carpio accepted the challenge. The PBA yesterday offering to host it, and also yesterday, Justice Carpio accepting the offer of the Philippine Bar Association. So, what is next?
We're waiting for the response of our beloved president, and we hope to hear from him soon.
How are you going to wait for his response? Is this through the media, or do you have any plans to actually formalize this invitation to the president?
Well, all the statements coming from the respective quarters, particularly personally from the protagonists, all of them are public in nature, and therefore we would expect a public announcement of their response or responses to our offer.
Okay,
so you don't in other words, we're not going to do a back channel thing here, although of course we can do that. But in any event, we would like the president and Justice Carpio, who has already responded, to respond to us positively, because this would be of a national interest that we have a public conversation on this.
So you don't plan to formalize this invitation. Hintayin na lang po natin talaga ang sagot ni Pangulo, to be very clear on that. Okay, what made you decide to offer to host this possible debate?
Well, as I mentioned, we want to have a vehicle for a national discourse on the burning issues concerning the the West Philippine Sea dispute. There have been exchanges of opinions and views of both sides, and would like to present to the public, particularly the citizenry, the real issues that are confronting them, which are of national interest. For example, we realize that both protagonists, meaning President Duterte and Justice Carpio, are both lawyers. The Philippine Bar Association, which I represent, are composed of about 1,000 or so lawyers. And we are bound by our code of responsibility, or professional responsibility, particularly Canon 1, which says that we should abide by and observe and comply and enforce the Constitution and the laws of the Philippines. And the dispute with the West China Sea or West Philippine Sea would involve the rule of law issues, which the Philippine Bar Association has been advocating since its founding in 1891. Which is about 230 years ago. Mm-hmm. That has been our staunch advocacy since that time. And because if you can look at our pin, our masthead would be saying the rule of law. So we are staunch advocates of the rule of law.
What exactly can come out of this debate? I bring this up only because there could be, number one, some confusion among the public regarding the arbitral ruling. Was it really a win? Was that a victory during the Aquino administration? Or was it something that the Aquino administration should be blamed for, because the present administration is actually saying it's because of them we lost Scarborough Shoal?
That's exactly why we want to offer our good offices to be able to come up with the real issues and the resolution of those issues if necessary, so that we would have a very clear, coherent, cohesive, transparent, definitive presentation of the issues involved. The Filipino people are so confused right now. In fact, after I released our announcement that we're willing to host, within 1 hour, we had about 17,000 strikes in our Facebook. That would only show, that would be an eloquent proof of the interest, the keen interest of the Filipino people in these issues. That's why we would like to provide a neutral, balanced forum for this purpose.
But what's important here really is that the facts are laid out to the public in case this pushes through. So that could give us, the public, a better understanding, judgment, and opinion of really what happened in 2012 during the standoff, and of course in 2016 during the decision of the arbitral tribunal. How can you ensure, or the PBA ensure, that facts, honest to goodness facts, will be revealed during this debate?
Well, the debate will be structured such that all the issues will be ferreted out. All the issues will be presented to the public. In fact, we are even thinking of having an interpreter or probably somebody who can translate it to the Filipino language, so that even the public, the Filipino, the ordinary people, would be able to understand the issues that are presented to them.
But are you thinking, attorney, of resource persons that could be part of this debate?
Well, we will have to consult with the handlers of the respective handlers of the proponents. So it will be premature for me now to state exactly how the debate will be structured. But we are sure that there will be a very circumspect discussion, sedate discussion, and not really something that will involve cuss words or any of these insinuations or innuendos. We want a hard, high-level type of discussion. We would like to raise the level of discourse here and not go down to the level of the gutters.
Okay. How can you assure, though, attorney, that that will not happen, considering the exchange that we've seen in the past? Well, especially coming from the president.
But you will. I don't want to get into who is going to be presenting himself or themselves that way, Pinky. What the association wants to dramatize and to show to the people. Remember that these two gentlemen are lawyers. We are an association of lawyers, and we are supposed to abide by the Code of Professional Responsibility. And the code and the canon 1 of the code that we are supposed to be paying fealty to says a lawyer should uphold the Constitution, obey the laws of the land, and promote respect for law and the legal processes. Since both of them are lawyers like us, we would like to project to the public, particularly the common tao, that we are supposed to be acting like lawyers, decent and respectable lawyers. And as I mentioned in my release, these are eminently qualified and experienced lawyers who should be able to intelligently and very, very circumspectfully try to articulate the respective views on the dispute. Let's not go to the personalities, let's not go to the politics, let's go to the actual issues involved in this dispute.
I remember that the president had said, when he challenged Justice Carpio to a debate, he said, tatlo lang ang tanong niya. Would something like that work? Kung tatlo lang siguro talaga ang tanong ni Presidente, can a debate even really happen?
Well, pwede nating i-structure ng gayon, no? Pinky. It depends upon how we can agree on the mechanics of the debate. We can
Okay.
structure it that way so that if that is what the president, as you mentioned, although I've not heard that because I've not been keeping in touch with the current news, if that is what he said, then we would abide by that. And I'm sure Justice Carpio, upon further consultation, will be able to agree on that.
Okay. What are the chances you think that this debate will actually push through?
Well, it is actually a challenge to both gentlemen. If they really are for the public interest, if they are actually presenting their views to the public in the interest of the national interest, then they should accept our invitation to host this debate.
Right.
It's a no-brainer.
But Justice Carpio already accepted it.
Well, it's all up to the president to accept it. I think if we are going to quote some of his issuances, the public pronouncements that he said, pareho naman kaming abogado.
Opo.
E di magdebate na lamang kami. Oh, narinig yata po ni Justice Carpio yun. Sinabi ni Justice Carpio, I gladly...
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
At the president's
That's why-
convenience, sabi niya.
At your convenience. So it will be at the convenience of the president now to tell us whether he accepts the challenge
Okay.
of the debate.
Just also wanted to find out from you, are you already looking for a possible venue for this debate?
It will be a virtual, I suppose it will be a virtual online debate. We cannot have an in-person. But if that is the desire or the wish of the handlers, as well as the protagonists, meaning the president and Justice Carpio, then we'll be willing to adjust the venue site so that we will be able to push through with this debate.
So it's wait and see. We will await any more information on this from the camp of President Duterte. Just want to briefly get your thoughts on your reaction on the president's statement regarding the arbitral ruling that it's a piece of paper to be thrown in the wastebasket. How did you personally understand what the president meant when he said that?
What did he say again, Pinky? Can you just repeat that? What did he say?
Sabi po kasi ni Pangulo, it's been much talked about yesterday, yung pong sa arbitral ruling. He said that, well, mahaba pa ho yung sinabi niya, but I can read it to you verbatim if you so wish. But in summary, he said that yung arbitral ruling, papel lang yan, it's a piece of paper na pwedeng itapon or could be thrown in the wastebasket. I'm wondering, just to be fair, is this something you heard the president say?
I think I read something along that line. Yes, Pinky.
Okay. Okay, let me be verbatim about it. Ang sabi po niya, iyang papel sa totoong buhay between nation, iyang papel, wala yan. Kung sino yung tigas, United States, Britain yan, pagka ginusto nilang ganyan gawin, tayo nanalo. Ngayon, pagdating ko, ang barko nandyan sa West Philippine Sea, China boat, ship, tayo wala na. Tapos sabi nila, itong papel, nasa kaso, nanalo tayo, i-pursue mo. Pinursu ko, wala nangyari. Sabi, actually, sa usaping bugoy, sabihin ko sa iyo, ibibigay mo sa akin, sabihin ko sa iyo, an expletive, papel lang yan, itatapon ko yan sa wastebasket. That's the longer version of what the president said.
And you want my reaction to that, Pinky?
Yes, attorney.
Okay, with all due respect to the president, considering that he's a brother in the profession, in a legal profession, as well as Justice Carpio, why I may have a personal opinion on that, but the arbitral tribunal had already ruled in 2016, definitively. As lawyers, we are supposed to abide by the ruling. Whether we like it or not, we have to abide by that. Okay? I understand the president has been a public prosecutor for quite some time in Davao. Mm-hmm. He was a mayor, and I understand he graduated at a very prestigious law school. In the same manner that Justice Carpio is also a product of my law school, the UP College of Law, although I teach at the Ateneo Law School. It incumbent upon us lawyers to abide by the ruling, and that we cannot second guess what the ruling says. We may have a different interpretation of the ruling, but again, that will be dependent on us. But it would be in the national interest that we enforce and avail of the remedies provided by the ruling. Imagine, in fact, Pinky, we had a webinar on that, and we explored the remedies supposed to be availing of by the Philippine government, and in some of them we have not even considered availing of. That's why we want to have this debate, and I hope that the president will listen to us affirmatively, and I hope that the people deserve to be told exactly what the issues are. The people will have to be told what are the remedies for the enforcement of this tribunal ruling. And it will be incumbent upon us lawyers, the president, Justice Carpio, and our association, the Philippine Bar Association, which is a staunch advocate of the rule of law, to provide the people in national interest a forum for us to be able to articulate all these views.
Philippine Bar Association President, Attorney Rico Domingo. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you also, Pinky.
And coming up, President Rodrigo Duterte has referred to the arbitral ruling as a mere piece of paper that can be thrown in the wastebasket. After the break, we talk to former Philippine Ambassador to the United Nations, Lauro Baja Jr. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. Watching The Source on CNN Philippines, I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, former Philippine representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Lauro Baja. Ambassador, good morning to you and welcome to The Source. Thank you for your time. Ambassador, can you hear me?
Yes, Pinky, I can hear you. Thank you.
Opo. Thank you, sir. Ambassador, let's start with this. I just quickly wanted to get your reaction first on the president's statement, his recent statement doon po sa arbitral ruling.
Pinky, you're coming in garbled.
Okay, let me try again, Ambassador. I wanted to get your reaction on the recent statement of the president regarding the arbitral ruling.
If you mean the latest pronouncement of the president on the award being merely a scrap of paper, and then followed by the phrase which can be thrown into the wastebasket. Yes, it may be a scrap of paper, but it's a scrap of paper which must be protected, which must be treasured, which must be followed, because it benefits the Philippines. When I first heard about the paper being thrown into the wastebasket, I thought it was the Chinese top diplomat who is speaking. It's precisely what China is mouthing after the release of the arbitral award.
And do you think this is something that the president should not have said?
Pinky, you're coming in garbled.
Okay,
Sorry?
Ambassador, what we're going to do is we'll just call you by phone so we have a better interview, a good exchange. We will be taking a very short break. We will be right back. Former Philippine representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Lauro Baja, is now on the phone. Ambassador, can you continue what you were saying when I asked you about the reaction on the president's statement, recent statement on the arbitral ruling?
Yes, it's unfortunate that when the president said that the ruling is a mere scrap of paper, it's true, it's a scrap of paper, but it's a scrap of paper which must be welcomed, treasured, protected, and enforced. because it prejudices China, it upholds the Philippine position, and to say that it should be thrown into the wastebasket is just mouthing the Chinese line of the top diplomat. I think his name is Wang Jiangji. He said that precisely when the ruling was issued.
Ambassador, yesterday there was a clarification from presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Sabi po ni Secretary Roque that the manner by which the president said this, there needs to be a proper construction that needs to be applied to what the president said about that. Ang sabi po niya, it was actually in the context of what the president said as far as China is concerned. Can you appreciate it that way?
I still cannot appreciate it that way, because to persons outside the president's circle of thinking, and to one who has just heard that statement, the interrelation between the scrap of paper and thrown into the waste basket must be connected, and that is the impression given to the ordinary people on the streets, but even to learned experts and analysts. It's an unfortunate statement, to say the least.
Okay. Also, Secretary Roque had emphasized we should look into the president's statement last year during the United Nations General Assembly, where we quote, the president said, "It's now part of international law beyond compromise and beyond the reach of passing governments to dilute, diminish, to undermine it." My question to you is, because I know you gave a statement about that when the president had issued that statement in the UNGA. I remember you said that it was authentic, what the president said, and you said that it was comprehensive, but you said it must be followed up with concrete measures. Do you think since then, this has been followed up with concrete measures?
No. Just any other statements given by heads of state or heads of government or foreign ministers in the general debate. After the debate, the shelf life of those statements are only good for the day or two. And without follow-up, those statements go into the dustbin of the UN archives. The meat of the proposal of the statement should be followed by concrete steps to validate, to energize those statements. We haven't had any. We haven't even gone to the UN. Only on a general statement before the general debate.
So I know that you also said that as far as the government is concerned, umabot lang po yung statement ni Pangulo sa UNGA. And as you mentioned a while ago, hindi po sa UN. Please explain this to us, Ambassador.
Yes. It's the situation in the West Philippine Sea is a virtual threat to peace. Ordinarily, that topic should go to the Security Council, but that's a non-option because China is there with the veto. So the next best thing is to go to the General Assembly, where there are precedents, where a great majority of the states, through resolutions presented by the parties concerned, are able to prevail on even big powers to follow what is awarded, what is stated in decisions of the UN system.
Okay, Ambassador, I hope you don't mind. I have 30 seconds left. Just a quick reaction from you. Should the previous administration be blamed for losing the Scarborough Shoal? Was it the fault of the Pinoy administration?
We should not go back, Pinky. We should at most learn some lessons from that and move forward on how to enforce the arbitral tribunal. That is the primary concern which the Philippines should have at the moment.
Okay. Former Philippine representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Laura Baja. Ambassador, I hope we have a part two, maybe sometime next week, because we've run out of time. But just the same, I'd like to thank you for your time today.
Thank you for including me in your program, Pinky.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.